Welcome to another episode of Deconstructing the Home Show with Christopher Gill, where we go behind the scenes on everything real estate and let you know what actually goes on with someone who's doing this every day, full-time, 24/7. And since the show launched, I've gotten about a dozen people asking me how I started, so I thought we would go over that really quickly in today's episode. Kind of my journey from the start about when I was 16, so 24, so about 8 years is when I was like, yo, real estate's flipping cool and I gotta get in on that pie and in the action. And that process really began with a lot of self-education. We live in the absolute best age of self-education ever. If you are not good at self-education, get good at it yesterday. And if you didn't do it yesterday, do it today. Because the amount of knowledge and information out there in the world it's mind-blowing. You don't need to go to college. You don't need to spend a ton of money. I never paid for one of the very expensive real estate coaching programs that are out there. They're not bad necessarily, but the information is available to you if you're willing to go out and seek it. So I read a ton of books. I YouTubed, I talked to people. I went to some of the free intro sessions that those educators have. I went to real estate meetups. I did everything I could do to educate myself on the basics of real estate. And then I learned the idea that you can have property and people live there and then they pay you monthly. And if it's an easy month and there's not a lot of repairs, you can make money and you could have been traveling the entire month. And that blew my mind. And the more I learned, the more excited I got. But I was still scared. And education's great, but it can't lead to paralysis, right? So if all you do is educate yourself and then you never pull the trigger on a deal, all the education really doesn't do any good for you. And real estate's big and scary. And part of the reason I'm doing this show is because I'm thinking back to all the questions I had and just how big real estate was. And it was this huge thing. And we're talking about tens, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. And that's terrifying. You don't want to mess up. You don't want to put your money into a bad investment. How are you going to get it back? And if you bet the farm fails, it can take a long time to get out of that. So I did everything I could to prevent that. And so that led to me, I had a film production company at the time, and that led to me getting my real estate license when I was 19 or 20, I think, and continuing that real estate education. I was like, okay, well, I'm not quite ready to start buying my own stuff yet, but I still want to be involved in the business. So got my license, helped people buy homes, showed homes, and that did a couple really good things for me. It, number one, educated me a ton about my local area. Real estate investing, especially on our level, and for 90% of you, the only level of real estate investing you will ever do is what I call hyper-local investing. So that is not even investment. I don't invest in San Antonio. I invest in like 4 neighborhoods in San Antonio, and I keep my eye on 5 to 10 other neighborhoods. But it's not this citywide thing. It's not this statewide thing. It's a road by road, street by street knowledge of your local area and what's happening, what developments are happening, what the crime rates are, what businesses are moving into the area, infrastructure changes. All of this affects real estate dramatically. So you've got to have a hyper-local knowledge of real estate. So becoming a realtor helped me with that. It helps me understand contracts. I didn't know anything about contracts. I never bought a home before. I was totally clueless, but I filled out a bunch of contracts and helped other people fill out contracts. And so that was incredibly beneficial. So did the realtor thing, didn't really enjoy it though, and I thought briefly about starting my own real estate company, and decided really not to head in that direction because I wanted to be an investor, a developer. I wanted to be a landlord. That's what I really wanted to do. So I was working for a marketing company. I was doing marketing for a real estate startup company, and I bought my first rental property, and it wasn't fully leased, and it needed to be rehabbed. So I would finish working at this company, helping them with their marketing at 5 or 6 or 7, and then I would head down to my rental property, and I painted the walls, I helped on the foundation, I laid flooring, I did it all. And I learned a little bit about electrical, learned a little bit about plumbing, and that's incredibly valued. So I literally had my hands in every bit of it. And then a couple months after that, I bought my first rehab and flip property. That went okay, and that kind of snowballed into where I'm at today with a couple employees and about 30 contractors that work for me. So it's been a great road, and I was thinking about what are some of the things that allowed me to succeed when I know that other people have failed, right? Like I know people that have tried to do what I've so far been successful at doing, and they haven't been able to do it successfully. And I think part of that was having that hyperlocal knowledge. I think that's huge. Like literally it's a street by street knowledge. There are streets in the neighborhoods I invest in that I don't want to buy a house on, but 3 streets down I totally will, because I know factors and changes on a street by street basis. That's huge. Get hyper local with your investing and your knowledge. Drive around. Don't rely on your realtor. Don't rely on Zillow. Don't rely on what the news is telling you. Drive the neighborhood. Talk to the people. Figure out what's happening. What's the feeling of the neighborhood? Where's it going? Is it increasing in value? Is it decreasing? Are the people moving out? Are they moving in? That all affects the value of the home you potentially will buy in that area. And the second thing that I think was really valuable, and it's easier for me to say probably because I'm young, but literally no job was too low for me. I was cool doing everything. I've taken trash out. I've helped clean houses. I've done the demo. I've done literally everything. And I don't do as much now because my time is more valuable doing other things. But it's not because of a pride thing. It's because my time is better allocated somewhere else. But literally when you start, get super comfortable, getting dirty, and doing what it takes to get started. That's all it is. That's all there is to it. You're not going to have a ton of money. You're not going to be able to hire everybody. Be totally cool and super psyched about doing every part of your business. The third thing I think is really beneficial is finding people that are further ahead than you in the investing. And that doesn't even necessarily mean they have to be mentors, but I just would put myself around other people who were not even dramatically further in the business. They were older than me, but like 10 years older, not 50 years older than me. And they had started not too long ago where I was at. And that was incredibly encouraging just to see that there are other people that are actually doing this. This is actually working for someone else that I personally know. Not someone I've heard about, but I've had lunch with this person who it's actually working for. So those are the 3 things that I think really set me apart in a very small way. And there's no dramatic part of my story. It was literally just, this is something I want to do. I'm going to get educated, and then I'm going to actually act on the education that I've had. And it's literally just doing the next best thing at the time. That's still what I'm doing. My next best thing is just a different best thing, but literally it's just doing the next best thing at the time and that journey, and just starting the journey, getting started, and then pulling the action, buying some properties, moving on it, and you'll find out where you're at, and you'll learn so much so quickly, and your business is going to grow.